Each of us is unique, just like everyone else. As humans, we tell ourselves we are the keepers of our own truths. Only we know what makes us whole, unique, or even stand apart. I am Christopher Midget. Though far from mystic, the true stories you are about to hear are no less than remarkable. Please join me as we go beyond the veil. We carry the events of our lives within us as well as upon us. Birth is evidenced by our existence and the memories that we hold. Our scars are evidence that our bodies have been used. Who knows us better than we know ourselves? Brad opened up his hand to the woman who did not ask. Instead, she told. With a scientific approach, Kat Anders examined Brad's hand, and as she traveled the roadmap of his life, she opened his eyes up to many things that he had attempted to distance himself from.
She even reminded me of one that happened when I was 17. And it was just a scary accuracy of how she was able to go through and then tell me what the incident is like. Oh, it's like you had an impact on your neck at this age. It's like, well, I never said anything about diving into a shallow water and almost breaking my neck to her. But she even told me she was able to basically recap my life by looking at the palm of my hand and just the lines in my hand, which it floored me, it blew me away. And she even gave me to a chiropractor that was actually able to adjust me and get things corrected. So it was really a really interesting event, though. But to know that your history, your whole life history, shows up, and that somebody else can look at it and read it like a newspaper, it was amazing. Just unbelievable.
Read it as you will, by fate, by chance, kismet, or consequence. Brad was traveling through a small southern Idaho town when he discovered a woman that did hand readings. Her process took him on a journey back through his life to a certain event that changed his perception, and he healed age-old wounds. Kat Anders had found a mark left in Brad's hand by a visit from an unlikely protector. His experience began in a truck stop. Who knew that a craving for ice cream would set in motion life events for a man who up until now considered himself an atheist?
Going up to the second level, and I just glance up towards this rack of wall hangings. It was like an instantaneous recognition, and I remember just like, oh, that's my Grandma Claire. She had passed 40 years ago. Prior to this, or 40 plus years, I was actually quite like 2 or 3 when she passed, and I have like a very vague one memory of her that I think even because I was so young, and it really not understanding the grandparents thing even, it was like, so it was almost like she was a stranger, so I wasn't even that I didn't have any like a familiarity with her, but yet the instant I looked up and saw this rack, it's just on the bottom of it. There was just like this energy, and it was like instantaneous without even thinking. My mind, it was just like, that's Grandma Claire. I was like, wow.
Brad knew the entity as his grandmother, as surely as any of us would recognize our own beloved relatives. The instantaneous recognition pulled at him incessantly.
So I gotta go check this out. It's like, cause it didn't, it's one of those things where it didn't seem real. It was like, or maybe I was going through some in my mind playing tricks on me. It's like, but it definitely happened. So I go back and I look and I walk around again. I'm just kind of nonchalantly, not trying to draw attention, like I'm coming back to this rack for any particular reason. I'm just kind of like don't pay attention to me. So I got to my ice cream and just kind of walk around it. And then once again, I come up, just probably still a good 20 feet away from this thing because I don't want to get close like I'm focusing on it, type thing. I look at it again. It's like it's still there. This energy is just still there. And I'm just like, yeah, it's Grandma Claire again. It's just instantly, as soon as I see the energy, I know exactly where it is.
Surrounded by a sea of tourists and patrons, Brad returned to the energy 4 times. Despite his almost obsessive need not to interact with others, Brad repeatedly returned to this one spot in a truck stop that he never intended to browse. Consumed by the energy that he recognized as the grandmother that he vaguely knew, it took Brad several passes to notice the image behind the energy.
And I finally get a good look. So now I'm up to the rack, and I finally look down. The energy's still there, and I still know it's Grandma Claire because as soon as I look at it again, that's who it is. And but it's over this, like I said, it's a wall hanging, and it's got like this Easter theme about it, where it's got the cross up on this grassy meadow. It's got the wind blowing, and it's got this purple sash just blowing in the wind. It's really actually quite beautiful. It's got like a couple flowers anyway. It was nice blowing. And then I remember my father telling me about his mother and how she was a real strong woman of faith, and just her conviction and her belief, and just her, he would tell stories about how, she was just this, and she was 4'11", just a tiny woman, but man, she could tame the toughest, roughest, foul-mouthed dude.
As the memories of his father's description rolled through his mind, Brad's experience became more odd. He heard a woman's voice. In an attempt to maintain his sanity, Brad now gave himself a pep talk.
Don't move your lips, because I didn't want to see anybody talking to myself or even look like I was talking to anything or acknowledging that there was something there. And I'm just like,
Brad made a silent agreement with his grandmother's voice. He would buy the painting and send it to his father. After the gift was mailed, Brad sent a message to his parents. He could not have known that the prompting of the voice would lead him to rejoin his family at a time of crisis. A year of estrangement would now come to a close. More so, this event would lead to many changes in Brad's life and heart that could not have been seen through the purchase of a wall hanging that only induced apprehension.
That was the first I heard that he was sick, and so I told him I'm going to be up there. It's like I'm going to drive, go out one more week, because I was pretty much broke at that point. So I said I'll go out one more week, then I'm going to come up and see you. My dad I could hear it in his voice, like he was real happy. And I don't know, just because of like I said, all the problems we had and the disagreements and everything. It's like it was almost out of character, and I knew there was something wrong. So I go up there. I go up there. Like I said, go out one more time. I get back and I go up to Montana to where he's at and see him. And, at this point, he's in the hospital in Great Falls, and then when I got there, they had just done a test on him, and they just found out that he was dying from pancreatic cancer and liver cancer.
If Brad's long-past grandmother had not intervened, the rest of this story, as seen in Brad's hand, would not have been possible.
Hadn't this event not happened, I'm sure they would have waited till it was too late for me to even get up there to see my father. He was in the bed at this point. They had a bed in the living room for him, and he's just he's the weakest I've seen him in my life. And you're talking about a real powerfully strong man that he was a fighter from the word go, and to see him like that, it was kind of a shock for me.
While all his family hoped and prayed for a miracle, Brad held his experience close.
I knew this was it. I knew I had to stop being so hard-headed and make things right. And I took the opportunity that when my father and I were left alone in the living room, whether it went outside, and It was, I remember I just told him how I felt about him and how I did, I respected him. That I didn't understand. I think maybe it's because we're so much alike, and this is why we had this conflict and everything that happened. And I remember I just told the truth, told him exactly how I felt, and that I loved him. And I didn't understand why it is what we were having the trouble and why there's so much, anger and conflict. But he was so relieved and he was so happy. And it was just, I could see it made him feel better. And for, a man in his condition to see that, I tell you, it's like salve for the soul, I guess.
His miracle in progress. During the private conversation with his dad, their wounds were healed, and Brad received one more message. As they talked, the energy came for Brad one last time. The message was Tuesday. No more, no less. He left this final exchange with knowledge and inner peace, yet he did not know the miracle had already happened.
And then it was like the following Tuesday, I'm thinking, I'm going to get a phone call from my family. They're going to have witnessed this miracle, and I knew it was going to be this awesome miracle that they're going to witness.
Time is fickle. Sometimes we are not allowed to pay too close attention to the details or make too many plans of our own. The following Tuesday, Brad received a call from his brother. His father had passed. His family had unknowingly been included in Grandma Claire's visits.
I remember I started driving. It was probably about 2 hours down the road. And I was like, this can't be right. And then I remember I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, what day is it? It's like, I remember I grabbed my cell phone and look at it, and it was Tuesday. And I think the miracle was that they got to be around him when the collection of souls, or the God, or whatever, the bright light that you go into when you die, came and collected his soul. And I remember they were saying something like he was trying to grab a hold of somebody.
Even if he'd been willing, Brad would not have known what to ask a higher power for. Despite the fight he was ready to put up, events would conspire to change his perspective on family, life, and spirituality. He would leave this chapter of his life amended with his father, without guilt, and with the approach of the agnostic, as opposed to the ardent disbeliever.
I wouldn't have had that experience, and I would have totally missed it if my Grandma Claire hadn't showed up. And, you could argue that if you like, but that was the most real thing, most real experience I've had in my life. I know what I saw. I know it's in the way it played out. It gave me an opportunity to have closure. And for the only son that sat there and fought with him, I was the only one that didn't feel guilty the day after his funeral, which is kind of funny because everybody else got to spend all those years with him, not fighting with him. Anyway, that is my story.
The interpreter's mechanical and methodical analysis allowed Brad an opportunity to retrace key events in his life. Our hands tell stories of where we have been and those who have been there with us.